Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We have with us today Suresvara Prabhu, who is quite well known for traveling to different temples around the world and presenting the Founder Acharya series, establishing Srila Prabhupada as the Founder Acharya. Today we'd like to hear from you regarding the different phases that Srila Prabhupada referred to or that are there in his different statements regarding Varnashram. If you can speak on that a little bit for us.
Sure.
Yeah.
So in the Founder Acharya series, in the what I call the Abhideya section of the series, I have one lesson called his Varnashram Challenge. And it's been such a challenge to fulfill this phase for many reasons. And one reason is because Prabhupada used the Varnashram phrase in different contexts, meaning different things. And another reason is because he applied the kind of Varnashram he was interested in, Daiva Varnashram, the Varnashram that takes us from this world to the spiritual world. He applied that to ISKCON differently over 3 phases of time. And in fact, for most of his stay with us, Prabhupada was basically saying, forget it. You don't need this. Just chant Hare Krishna, distribute books, hold festivals, distribute prasadam. Varnashram is a thing of the past. And so that was basically from 66 to 73. Most of his time with us, he was saying like this. Because Prabhupada's priority, as he often said, was to put a head back on society. Focus on the Brahminical focus. So that worked up to a point. And then a couple of things happened. Internally, inside ISKCON, and externally. Externally, what was happening in the world was in 1972-73, the supply of oil was being artificially manipulated from the Middle East, and the oil prices started to go through the roof, and they were restricting the supply of oil too to make gasoline, petrol, and there were these long lines at the pumps to fill up people's tanks, and sometimes they'd get to the pump and there'd be no more gas, and in America it sparked riots and there were shootings. And so this was a signal to Prabhupada that the motor car civilization that we live in, it's not long for this world. It can't go on forever. It's like forever Hiranyaksha, he couldn't go on forever plundering the earth for its gold. So how long can the so-called modern man go on plundering the earth for her oil, vital fluid, the oil? So that was going on externally. And then internally, by 72-3, devotees had caught on to the art of book distribution. But there was a lot of pushback from material energy. She's always testing us. So part of the pushback was considering the devotees to be zombies, cult members. So we were distributing a lot of books, but then there was a lot of propaganda that we were brainwashed, zombies, cult members. So how many were actually reading the books? There were these wars going on between police, security, and devotees. So in 1974, the first year that a lot of devotees began to go to the Mayapur festival en masse, both in Vrindavan and in Mayapur, Prabhupada dropped a bomb, so to speak. He said, everywhere, wherever we have got our center, a Varnashram college should be established. It was like an about face from forget about Varnashram to we must do this. And then, in another morning walk, he said, because if the people are in chaos, how they'll be able to understand the great philosophy? It requires a cool brain. So Prabhupada could see that the world, there was a hint, a harbinger of things to come, that the oil wasn't going to last forever. And also that the devotees were not understood. So his his application of Varnashram to ISKCON now changed. You know, we're devotees. It's not that we need it, but they need it. They need to see us showing them a better way to live. We have to organize ourselves so that we're showing them a more sustainable, viable, sane way to live. Because they're in chaos, and we're devotee. Prabhupada's very generously calling us devotees too. So this was very bewildering to the devotees who heard this. And if you've heard the recordings, you can hear the leaders kind of questioning Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's clarifying that it's not that we're Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, we're devotees. But we have to act in different capacities to show the world a more organized way to live. And first we have to study this. We have to have Varnashram colleges to study it so we can teach it, educate our own members, and so we can educate people. Just like we say in America, we say, don't tell me, show me. You know, then maybe I'll read your books. Right. So Varnashram is a big topic in Prabhupada's books. It's all over the place. But people perhaps aren't inspired to read about it unless they see that we're doing something that's going to help them. Just like, I like to give the example of the Amish community in America. Now they're really off the mainstream, but they're admired by a lot of people. Because, you know, if the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank were to go belly up tomorrow, they would carry on. Because they're not dependent on that kind of life, that artificial economy. So Prabhupada wanted us to do that. Everywhere, wherever we have got our center, at least we can see now more and more. You know, if we're buying something for the deity, we don't know what we're getting at the store. Unless you grow your own, milk your own, is it really offerable? In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, in his commentary to the Gita, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that real patrang pushpang palam toyam, real offering with love and devotion to Krishna, means you plant the seed with devotion, cultivate the plant with devotion, harvest the plant with devotion, cook it with devotion, offer it with devotion, serve it with devotion, honor it with devotion. This is patrang pushpang palam toyam. This is from seed to sustenance. And it all involves, in Krishna's culture, protecting and milking the cows and working the bulls. This is what the Supreme Personality of Godhead, our Calvary Boy Lord, wants. He's not a vegan, nor is he as the vegans like to say, a blood milk drinker. He likes milk, but he likes milk from protected cows. So Prabhupada, he wanted all the centers to get land and to also to start Varnashram colleges. He liked us to be in the college towns also, restaurants, reading rooms. It's a whole kind of constellation of initiatives to attract modern people, give them an alternative to what Prabhupada called the soul-killing modern civilization. So that was 74 to 76, a lot. And there's a lot of morning walks and room conversations about that, about this civilization won't last as if you know it. You must get land. And then in 77 is the last phase. And it goes from, first of all, it's you don't need Varnashram, to we need to do this for their sake. And now what Prabhupada is saying is you need to do it for your sake. And the most famous conversation is February 14th, 1977, where Prabhupada is speaking with Harishari and Satsvarup Maharaj. And Prabhupada just brings it up. And they said, well, Srila Prabhupada, you talked about this before, nothing much happened. And Prabhupada said, yes, the time was not right. You weren't ready. But now, in the last year of his life with us, Prabhupada is really concerned that ISKCON go on, that it be sustainable. And the Varnashram phase is key to that sustainability. So they say, well, Prabhupada, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ramananda Roy mentions Varnashram as being the ultimate goal, and Mahaprabhu dismisses it as external. Iho Bahya, this is external. And Prabhupada said, yes, Mahaprabhu said that because he's not of this world. He's in the mood of Radha. So you're chanting like Mahaprabhu? Prabhupada challenged them. You can't even chant 16 rounds properly. You can't even follow the 4 regulative principles properly. My trusted leaders are falling down. To become a Vaishnava is not so easy. We need Varnashram to become a Vaishnava. Now we have to pave the way properly. We have to make it easy. We have to make it accessible to even you. Prabhupada's really worried that his movement won't go on after he leaves. He, the big charismatic leader, he wants us to be properly engaged according to our natures, and he wants us to last our whole lives in Krishna consciousness.
What you're saying is that Prabhupada, those 3 phases came to the last phase where basically he's mentioning that it's important for everyone, devotees and non-devotees.
Yes, and we shouldn't see these different phases as a contradiction. We should just see it as an extension of his compassion. He just keeps extending. Because at one point they say, February 14th, Hari Shari, etc. Maharaj. But Srila Prabhupada, you said the chanting will replace all this. Yes, chanting will go on, Prabhupada said, but side by side we need this to bring us to the stage of offenseless chanting. And then Harishari Prabhu said, well, Srila Prabhupada, after 6 months or a year, someone comes to ISKCON and then they get initiated. And then 6 months, a year, they get second initiation. They become Brahmins. So Prabhupada's response was, oh, well, and then they fall down? Well, why make a ludicrous, Prabhupada said in his own way. Why be ludicrous? If someone is fit to work in Shudra Varna, then just let him work in that way, if that's what he's fit to do. But let him also chant Hare Krishna, follow the rules and regulations, and he can go back to Godhead. And that's basic Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter.
Does that mean that within ISKCON we would not give initiation to certain people?
Well, try to force everybody into the rabbinical Varna. We're supposed to be Vaishnavas, which is more than Brahmin. Right. But in terms of spirituality, spiritual qualification, we're supposed to be Vaishnavas. And that happens by following the instructions of a pure devotee and working according to our natures. Now here, O son of Prita, how by following one's qualities of work, every person can become perfect. And the next verse, by worship of the Lord, who is all-pervading and the source of all beings, every person can become perfect. So you do your work for Krishna. And such a person, even in Shudra Varna, what is that verse? Prabhupada quoted. Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi, whether one is very learned or renounced or working in Shudra occupations. Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guruha. You can, if you know the art and science of serving Krishna, you can be a guru. There's no bar. What
would you say has been the main stumbling block? Because these are statements going back 77, and we're going to be celebrating, so many years have gone by, over 40. What, in your estimation, is a main obstacle, stumbling block for us to move forward on this?
I think, Maharaj, you pointed it out yourself in some past writings when you talked about how we seem to be just fixed on city centers, city temples. Because what's going on in city temples, in a sense, is a little easier to manage because it's mainly based around deity worship, worship, preaching, book distribution, training, and those are critical type of activities. When we talk about Varnasrama, we're talking about engaging people from all walks of life. That's more challenging, but even though it's more challenging, we find this even in Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita purports. For example, in that series in the 12th chapter where Krishna says, just think of me in 12.8, and then in 12.9 he says, if you can't do this, then just follow the rules and regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then you will develop a desire to attain to me. And then in the next one, 12.10, if you can't follow the rules and regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me you will come to the perfect stage. And in the purport, Prabhupada's reaching out to Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra type people, because he talks about, and I think Prabhupada got this from his Scottish Church's college professor, every endeavor requires land, labor, capital, and organization. Right? Yeah, and that's the province of Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras. And by doing that, by appealing to those people, and by them engaging their energies in Krishna's service, Prabhupada said, this will bring you to a higher state of love for God. It's my conviction, actually, that most people in the Krishna consciousness movement ultimately won't necessarily be initiated devotees, but they'll be the masses who know Krishna consciousness is right and they want to help. And we, as you say, initiated devotees, we can inspire all kinds of people.
It's like in society also, majority of people are not initiated. They're not dvijas.
Yeah. So 3 phases of Prabhupada's application of Varnasrama. As he saw the need, his compassion extended. Even though at one point he said, because they said, but Lord Chaitanya wasn't interested. And Prabhupada said, yes, our program is different.
Yes.
And they said, different? Here's Prabhupada.
We are not Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah. Well, he would say, there's Prabhupada, the latest and greatest representative of Lord Chaitanya, saying our program is different than Lord Chaitanya's. But he meant that he was extending the compassion further. Because to extend the compassion, so to speak, at the bottom doesn't compromise the goal at the top, provided everyone keeps moving up.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's very challenging, and because we're talking about engaging the whole world now, right? Not just a select few people who are attracted to philosophy.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.